Hello everyone, welcome to Via Satoshi. I'm your host Satoshi, and today is the 13th of November 2021. Right, so before we get into the video, a quick market update. The Bitcoin markets and the altcoin markets are kind of down compared to where it was in the all-time highs. But as always, nothing to scare because whales manipulation and something called an Evergrande debacle is actually unfolding. I'll probably talk about it in the video on the video after this video, so probably the next or the video after. But before we get into the video, please do subscribe to my channel and also like my videos. As I said already, soon as I hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to give away $100 worth of Bitcoin to someone. Right, so let's get into the video. What is Taproot? I'm sure some of you heard about Taproot and some of you haven't. There's going to be a lot of technical terms to talk about. I'm going to technically explain this. At the same time, in my style, I'm going to explain this very simply. But before going to all those technical terms, no one has to do anything with this. This is going to be an upgrade for the Bitcoin network, but this is a soft fork. This is not a hard fork. So no one has to worry about, has to upgrade their wallets or their private keys or public keys or none of that. So if anyone asks you, just you have to do it. It's a scam. Don't give your keys to anyone. This is public service notification. And as always, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. Right. So Taproot is actually a version 1 of a SegWit. SegWit is already an upgrade happened to Bitcoin network in 2017, I believe. So SegWit means segregated witness. So at the moment, 50 to 55% of the nodes are actually or wallets are upgraded to SegWit. But as this is not mandatory, the upgrades on Bitcoin networks take really long time. So people slowly upgrade. If someone has a ledger or a hardware wallet, they already know they have an option to use the legacy Bitcoin address or SegWit address. Usually the SegWit addresses starts with a BC1, that kind of numbers if you know the wallet addresses. But they have different combinations. So what it is actually, the SegWit means is that usually when you send transactions to a Bitcoin network, usually there is a transaction ID. Each ID contains an input and an output. Usually the input will be the proof of your private key to show that you can spend the amount of the Bitcoin that you have or you are saying that you own. And the output will be where you're sending it and a public key to actually verify that transaction. So the output can be seen by anyone and everyone, but the public keys and the ledgers they're open source, as we already know. That's the whole point of the Bitcoin network. They are pseudonymous, so they can be seen, but they don't know who it belongs to. Right. So SegWit on that part, it has what it does is that it actually has on the public key side of things, it takes the public keys output spending transaction and leaves it to the miners to verify it. So say for example, each address on the SegWit wallet has a style of public key, but these public keys has less information on them because everything on a transaction takes space. The more bytes you use, you have to pay more transaction fee. And that means each transaction has more space. That means each block has to actually only accommodate fewer transactions because each transaction holds more space. So say, for example, each box of blocks, say if it's a block, and each can only take up to 10 kilos of weight fully, and each transaction hold 1 kilo, the maximum transaction you can hold is 10 kilos before it's full. But then when you use a SegWit wallet, probably it's decreased by 200 grams. So that means each transaction can hold now 800 grams. And then that means you can put up to around 12.5 transactions or 12.5 bags. So each block will have 2.5 extra. But this is just like a rudimentary example. So by using SegWit, what you're using is it's a witness program where the miners will verify the witness, and then they don't have to include that into the transaction of each block. That way they save more space and you pay less fees. At the same time, they can actually add more transaction. That will make the network more scalable. The version 0.1 of SegWit is the Taproot. So that this is the most important part. This is going to have actually a massive improvement. And again, it's a soft fork. So people who hasn't actually upgraded to SegWit can still go and do Taproot. But if they don't want to, they don't have to. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has this very slow way of moving things. But when it's get adapted, it takes a lot of time. So in the last 4 years, 50% of the whole Bitcoin network has adapted SegWit. And a lot of people probably haven't even heard about it. But then the Taproot probably, I believe, will have the same scale or the same speed of upgrade. But I would prefer, or I would recommend people not to upgrade to Taproot addresses yet, as it probably has to embed in the system, and probably the developers will find some fixes, as always, it's like a new thing, but hopefully, because this SegWit and Taproot was going for the last 6 to 7 years. So this is there since 2013-14. Right. So what's the difference between Taproot and the legacy system and SegWit? Right. So Taproot used something called Schnorr signature. SegWit used something called elliptical curve cryptography. So this is like the way the signature is verified. So elliptical curve cryptography means that it's a style of signature. So what it does is it includes certain kinds of transactions. So each transaction has a transaction head. Those transaction heads, which I told you already about the input, will hold information about each addresses, in the sense how much that address has. Because Bitcoin runs on a system called UTXO. What UTXO simply explained is, if anyone watched my previous video about what Bitcoin is, or Bitcoin simply explained, UTXO means it's like a cash transaction. So I go to a shop, buy something for £5, and I only have a £10 note. I give them £10, they give me back £5, rather than I give them £5. So that's how Bitcoin network works. So I have 1 Bitcoin, I send 0.5 Bitcoin to someone else, but the whole 1 Bitcoin will leave the network, and then Bitcoin network will actually give me back 0.5. So each transaction is connected. The difference is the accounting model. So the model with Ethereum is it's an accounting model. It doesn't work on UTXO, where Cardano works something called extended UTXO, EUTXO. Anyway, I don't want to go in tangent. Coming back to the point, where the elliptical curve cryptography on the UTXO will, if you upgrade to Taproot, will change to Schnorr signature. Where the Schnorr signature, what it will do is it will actually make all the transactions look the same, because all the heads of the transaction will look the same, because the identifying factors such as the input of an address, the public key, will be removed as part of the upgrade. It's not going to be gone forever, but it won't be seen, because the miners won't add them into their transaction for each block to save space, because that's the upgrade. But then it will be still verified with the enough information to go through. What this is going to do is this is going to improve privacy big time. And this use of Bitcoin Taproot upgrade, what it will do is it will save space per each transaction. That will in turn save transaction space in blocks, so that will increase the transactions per block. That will in turn increase the transaction output or throughput, TPS, for Bitcoin network. So this is, I think, a great soft fork, because the difference between a soft fork and hard fork is hard fork will be actually hard forked into different things, where soft forks are usually you don't have to do anything. It's just like it will just happen on its own, and if you don't want to do anything about it, you can just like stuck to the legacy system, or you can actually upgrade anytime you want to. But then the miners who actually validate the network will upgrade, and the BIP means Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 340, 341, 342. These are the three BIPs are going to be introduced to upgrade Taproot, and approximately Taproot will be upgraded on November 14th. That's tomorrow, midday GMT, and they will have 3 blocks these transactions will be added into, and then the miners will validate it, and if they validate it, the upgrade will actually be applied to the network, and if they don't, then it won't. But at the moment, 55% of all miners have upgraded the nodes into Taproot, so I think it's like a green light. So we will talk about these more in the future videos, about how to upgrade, the benefits, the pros and the cons, and I believe there will be some cons will come with this, and we will talk about this in the future. And until then, stay safe, good luck investing, don't fall for scams, and also please subscribe to my channel and share my videos and leave your comments below. Soon as we hit 100 subscribers, I'm giving away $100 worth of Bitcoin. Until then, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. Bye bye.